Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of the North Star podcast. Today, we got my very good friend and mentor, Vik Gill, on the podcast. I just want Vik to introduce himself and just so everyone gets a little bit of understanding of who he is, and then we'll get into some questions and his story of why he started the fitness lab. So, Vik, thank you for coming. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeremy.
Pass you off here.
Awesome, thank you. My name is Vik Gill. I'm the head of operations for the fitness lab. My main role with the fitness lab now is taking care of operations from day-to-day, management, and of course trainer development.
So with the shift and things like this, is this something that you saw yourself doing when you started the fitness lab? Like, what was your vision when you started? I think a lot of people want to know that. Like, why'd you start the fitness? Like, why'd you get into that fitness lab? Like, what was the big reasoning for it?
The big reason why the gym opened, or the big reason of the type of training we do?
The big reason why the gym opened, and then we can talk about like training styles and what makes like fitness lab different from other gyms.
Well, it's actually it's a bit of a funny story. I've always wanted my own gym, just as every other trainer out there. But when it came to pulling the trigger to opening the gym was actually a day that I went to teach a fitness class at the Abbotsford Hospital. I had the contract there to teach fitness classes for the nurses, and I was just going into work one day and I ended up running into a friend in the just by the elevator area. Haven't seen this guy since high school, and it had been a good 10-11 years since we were out of high school. We just got chatting, catching up, and just regular talk of what he's up to and blah blah blah. He mentions he's a doctor now at the hospital. And it was just a total wake-up call for me, just kind of thinking to myself, like, wow, like we graduated the same day, we had the same teachers, we had the same upbringing. He's a doctor, and I still can't decide what I want to do with myself. Went home, talked to Lana. At the time, I was working 6-7 different gyms, 3 cities, trying to make full-time out of it. And we obviously had some money saved up for a house, the life, the ring, just like, what you think you're supposed to do with life. And I just asked her, like, can I just spend all our money on a gym? Like, I gotta do this. It's now or never, or else I'm gonna be driving around forever. And she just looked at me, she's like, do it. It wasn't nothing at all, like no doubt in her mind. I called my friend Gary, who had a spot at the mall up here, and within 5 days I had a lease locked in and I was ready to open up a gym.
That's crazy. That's so cool. And it must be like, now to look back and see like how the growth has happened, it must be like surreal.
It is. It's absolutely crazy to think that this is what it's grown into. Like, I can still remember building the gym, not really knowing what I was doing. I had no experience running a business. And then on top of that, like, the first day I remember driving to the gym when classes, the first day going on, and I was thinking to myself, like, what do I do when I get there? Like, am I just turning on the lights and some music and people are going to be there? Like, am I supposed to do anything else? Like, what's happening here? And then, after that first day, it's like, it's just been a complete learning experience. Every day is different. You learn something new every single day. And it's just about getting better.
Yeah, no, I like that, there's, and I know you're someone who takes action. So when you told me like 5 days, like that's totally you. Mm-hmm. So it's cool to hear that has still kept with you all these years, because like that is so Vik, like knowing you now for these many years and stuff. But I think another cool question, because this is like topic of like the beginning and things, but like what were some challenges that you faced when starting the gym, and like how did you overcome them? Like what were some things that like really stuck out to you when you started?
I think when it comes to challenges, I was my biggest challenge. My inexperience of running a business was the biggest challenge. To me, I was just a trainer. All I needed was a gym to train out of. That's why I opened this place. And then as time goes on, you're realizing, there's a whole customer service aspect to this. I need to make sure people are happy here. I need to make sure they have everything in this area to want to keep coming back. One huge thing I've realized along the way is just how different owning a gym is than any other service business out there. Like, people come to the gym upwards of 3 to 5 times a week. There's we don't get our hair cut that often. We don't go get our nails done, or there's just no other professional service you use with that kind of volume. So it's really about creating that space where people feel at home, where they're happy to come there every single day.
And do you take, like, when it comes to community building, what are some philosophies and things that you've used to really like make a excuse me, make a good community around you that is, you know, successful and really helps like everyday people, no matter who they are? Like, how have you been able to build that community?
I think just helping a lot of, especially nonprofit groups, schools with fundraisers. I think that's definitely key to staying tied with your community. There's lots of events always happening around the community, just making sure you show some kind of presence there. Helping out financially if you can with, you know, nonprofits again.
Was that like something that you learned, or did somebody kind of teach you that? Like, why did you go that route when starting?
I think when you see how grateful somebody truly is when you help them out like that. That's when it really comes back at you. And I think that this was really repaid back when COVID struck, and then it was our turn to need help. And just all the people that came forward to help us out after that. Like, I had people messaging just saying stuff like, yo, like, what do you got that you can sell me? Like, I'll buy it. Like, let's get some money in the bank account.
Like, just help
yeah,
you,
like,
help
let's
you
just
out.
like, what do you got here, right? Like, how can we support you?
Yeah.
Right? Like, friends calling and just being like, hey man, like, you know, do you need any money? You're gonna be okay? Like, what can we do here to keep you kind of moving?
Yeah. And was that your like aha, like, wow, like this is...
It's honestly, COVID was probably the biggest challenge the gym's ever had. I've been very lucky in that sense that, you know, people have always come to the gym since day one.
Yeah.
We've never had a losing month. And then all of a sudden, like, I think that was our 5th year. Yeah, that was year 5.
Yeah, it was.
This happened. And this just completely shook me. Like, you know, this was like
I remember
the worst thing in the world that could happen.
Yeah, we had many conversations.
Like, I never even knew the government could shut down a business like that. I had no idea. And so when that happened, it was like a total wake-up call. And then that's when you really had to kind of get moving with figuring out how to just keep going from
like
there.
how to grow.
Yeah, and then from that, you know, that's the worst thing that happened to us. But from that, I also found out how important we are to other people. You know, like, I wasn't the only person going through this. Everyone else was going through COVID too, just in their own way. So for them, they needed to come to the gym to get that 1 hour for themselves, just to be able to go back and deal with whatever else they were dealing with outside of that. You know, people were out of work, people were not able to pay their mortgages, like, everyone was struggling to some degree. So to really see what we mean to the community and how much the community wanted to help us, that was everything.
Yeah, and I think like the biggest thing too was that I remember there was a lot of, you know, like I said, conversations and things that were happening at that time where there's a lot of pivoting. Like, I know that you were very, very good at pivoting and making sure that the gym could stay open, and, you know, that you were still able to have the opportunities of going through that when it came to a point where it was like very hard to pivot. Like, there was like so many different guidelines, and you know, I think that's something that I value in you as well, is you're very good at pivoting. And how do you think that has really helped you to understand like how to pivot in business? Like, was that taught? Was that something that you learned? Like, you know, what's some ways that you are able to use your pivoting as forms of building the business further?
I think it's all comes down to problem solving, just keeping cool, calm, collected. It's about knowing, having the confidence in yourself, saying, hey, like, I have all the tools in front of me to solve this problem. There's a way to solve this problem, and we got to solve this problem. So at the time, it's like, okay, I got gym equipment. I'm not allowed to have people here to use it. Let's rent it out.
Yeah.
It's okay, we have video cameras. People already have classes on their account. I need a way for them to use them. Let's do online workouts. Let's start using up the credits, so they have to buy more credits. With any of my membership people, I just talked to everyone like before that little 2-week break, and I was like, hey guys, let me keep running your membership payments. Once we're back in action, I'll refund the money then.
Yeah.
And just those, you know, small little changes going back and forth. And I even remember at the time, one of my friends, he was renovating a building, and, you know, like, now I went from working 12 hours to 0 hours, so I had all the time in the world on my hands. And that's it. He hired me to start picking up garbage and stuff like that at one of their builds, and that kept me busy again. So
yeah, just to make some extra
yeah, just
income.
like, it was just about like, you know, we gotta we have a rent to pay. Being a landlord's a business too. I'm
Yeah.
not going to expect a handout from them. Like he's got to pay the bank back too. So
Yeah.
just got to solve the problem and get to it.
How do you stay like calm and collected in situations like that? I think, talking to other, like, many business owners, that's a really hard thing to do when there's problems that are happening. Are there any people that you either reach out to or you talk to about these certain things, or do you find that what kind of things do you do and use for yourself that you can kind of stay like grounded in that area?
I think when it comes down to it, one thing that I definitely like doing is just I'll think about the issue before making any type of
Like,
grasp decision kind of thing,
yeah.
right? Like I want to fully think it out. I want to go from every angle. My wife Lana, she's amazing to talk to. She always sees things and helps me talk them out and sort them out. Manny, one of my good friends, he's amazing too to help talk things out with. So those are two people that I definitely go to right away. As for myself, it just comes down to, like for me, I know getting angry about it, getting fed up with it, like it's not going to solve anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to solve anything,
Yeah.
right? Like you can worry about it all you want. It's not going to solve anything. Everything's going to come down to the outcome of what you put into it. So let's just start figuring out what you got to put into it.
Mm.
And it's okay if you do it the wrong way. Change it up. Go again.
Yeah.
Go again. As long as you're trying things,
Like you're learning from
succeeding.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
As long as
yeah.
you're trying things, you're figuring out what what doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's one thing for me that I think is such a big, like, it's funny. I was just talking to, I had another podcast the other day, but Manny was mentioned too, so maybe not have to get Manny on the podcast, but I think it's really good to have, like you said, like people like that you can kind of maybe I don't know if leaning on is the right word, but kind of leaning on or seeing guidance as well, because it can really help you understand situations that you might not see in that light.
That's exactly what it is.
Right.
And like speaking of Manny, he's the guy that's kind of devil's advocate. He comes up with the negative right away, which I love, because it's like, I'm just like, candy and rainbows. Let's just think about this, right? That's how it is. So he really challenges the idea, and he really challenges it, even though he's just, he's helping the way he helps, which is amazing. And that's what I need to hear is like, okay, that's going to be a challenge, because if he's thinking of that, 30% of people out there are thinking like that.
Yeah, they're thinking the same way.
Right? So it's definitely comes down to talking to people about your ideas, what you're thinking of, and hearing their ideas in the end too. That's huge. Because it might be a little mixture of, hey, like you got a little piece of it, I got a little piece of it, and together we can put together a really good idea.
Yeah, and it kind of that ties into building a community, right? And getting people to, have a group of people you can kind of lean on and things like that if you need to, and like you said, having a supporting group. I think of that really personally from being part of the journey of the fitness lab as well. I think that's what really sets us apart in other gyms as well. But I would love for you to touch on kind of things that you find that why the fitness lab is different than other gyms in the area.
The fitness lab is different. One of the things that I just love about the fitness lab is the variety of people you get into it. Like, we put up one workout on the screen for a group, but it can be anything from like super fit 30-year-old and there's a 75-year-old in the same class. Everyone's getting a great workout in at the same time. Everyone's getting along. It's just the variety of people that we bring into the situation that I love. And that's what I think truly makes us so different, is how we're able to put together such a workout that has all the different athletic things in it, plus some regular traditional weightlifting, all under one place.
Yeah, and I like you said, I think you said it pretty well there about the balance of the amount of different people and things like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about more like advanced age or 30-year-old kind of thing. I think building off of that, I want to know kind of at this point in your career, what do you feel is something that you've seen that has really helped people move forward and get towards their goals more efficiently? Like, what's something now, you've been over a decade, I know you've been doing this, but what's something that you find that can really help someone overcome some sort of hardship, or they're trying to get to a better place in their life with fitness? How do you find that to really impact them with working out?
I think it's about consistency and knowing your limits. Both those things put together will dictate your success in fitness. A lot of the time, like especially in a group environment, we always just want to keep pushing because everyone's there and we feel like everyone's looking, and we kind of feel like we have to keep performing at a certain pace every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, you know, like if we truly want to succeed in this and make sure we're getting in our 4 or 5 workouts a week comfortably, we also got to know when to draw it back, right? Like if there's like a day that you are feeling sore and there's a, you know, there's a shoulder exercise and you know, hey, I usually do 35s on these presses. Maybe just lift to 15 or 20 that day. Just draw it back. You'll feel better and you'll be able to come in the next 2, 3 days after that, rather than just push that weight again. Risk of injury at the same time. You're probably going to feel like hell and not want to come in the next day anyways.
Has your philosophy changed like that over the years? Like how have you been able to, communicate that? Because I think that's something that, even when I started, I ran into as well, where, you get to that point where you're trying to explain to someone like, hey, it's okay if you, you pull back. Like, and has that changed? Like, have you seen that philosophy change over the years?
I feel like I'm more and more vocal about it now.
Okay.
Like just more and more vocal about it. And like for myself too, if I'm doing a class and, there's a push-up set or there's push-ups during the warm-up and I'm not feeling it, I'm just going to drop down to my knees. Yeah. I know like, hey, like if my back's sore from doing this and that from the day before, I'm not going to go ahead and try pushing the same weight that I did, and I just go ahead and draw all my weights back. And it's one of those things where people notice, but I have no problem saying like, yeah, just not feeling it today, just gonna get a little calorie burn and I'm good. But it's definitely something that I do want to vocalize more, is just how to maintain yourself essentially. That's what it's all about, is maintaining yourself, knowing your own limits.
Yeah, and I think that's where you'll see the most success you can with fitness, but I think just in life.
In life as well.
Yeah, I think it's just like, I think in general, like, using that approach. And I know, I guess we could use the word balance, but there was somebody had asked me a question to ask you, and this is I get a lot this question, but I like hearing it from different people. But, as a business owner, as, someone who owns multiple businesses, like how do you keep that balance with your family life? Like how does that work, or how do you try, and how's it changed? Because I know, like you said, you working 12 hours doing this, like how has that now changed with having a kid, and like how has that progressed?
Oh, it's changed so much. Like now some days I have to work like 6 hours straight and I can't even like make it through the 5th hour. I just think to myself, like, how did I used to do this for 14, 16 hours straight? Like what type of mode was I stuck in that I could just do that? But I think when it comes down to it, is like when I did come out of that mode, I found that the quality of my work got much better than just rather being stuck in this mode of just pumping out workouts and that's all you're kind of doing, and you're just stuck in this almost like auto creation. Yeah, you just kind of wake, sleep, create workouts, go for it. And like after those first 3 years of like really working, and then you came on board, and then I just started to kind of see things completely differently, how much I had to let go of certain aspects in order to make sure that I could provide the same quality I wanted to keep providing to people. And then after that, like what was it, like 2019, 2020 is when I really started kind of drawing back a little bit, wanted to kind of focus more time with Lana. She had just started school, so I was like, okay, like, we never had a day off together. So I was like, okay, like I need to start making sure I have time for her now, because then with her in school, she's so much busier at the same time. And then when COVID came up, it was like, okay, like now it's just all family time kind of happening outside of hours, and how much I wanted to keep it after that.
It almost was kind of like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, because it's like you got to spend so much more time with, your inner, I guess, what was it called, your circle or your So that's when I was like, okay, like I need to make sure that I'm not spreading myself thin. I'm giving everyone the quality they deserve in all aspects of my life. And I just have to be much better with my own time management, right? Just scheduling the hours that you're working, scheduling the hours that you're doing office work, making sure that you schedule the hours that you're going to spend at home with wife and kids. And even now, like I've just learned, like, hey, like I can just wake up earlier and get the stuff done. Like it comes down to kind of dipping into your own time too, or at least realizing like, hey, like am I a person that needs 8 hours of sleep, or am I a person that can live off of and feel great at 6 hours of sleep? Right? Like it's like, cool, I need 6 hours. I mean, I've got 2 extra hours right there to work on my own stuff. everyone will wake up and I'm already done everything. So now I'm getting much better with time management as times like as now I I guess I have the time now to manage my time a
Yeah.
lot better.
Well, I think it, like you said, it kind of goes back to like knowing yourself a little bit better. Like you say, if you're someone who needs 6 or 8 hours, or I think we hear the guideline, oh, you need 7 to 9
Yeah.
hours of sleep, but it's like, obviously, I would say most people probably do not thrive on 2 hours of sleep, but there's
Yeah.
probably a range, and I think the biggest piece that I really want to know too, and I think this is something that it'd be cool for you to touch on, but just like how your mindset or how your view on just like life changed when you had your son.
Oh
Like,
man,
what was like your
it's like you always hear these things just about how much a kid changes your life or how much you never knew how much you could love something or someone. And yeah, it was just instantly like that. I was like, okay, this is where I want to dedicate my time. This is where I want to be. This is where I need to make everything else work in my favor in order to spend the most amount of time here. And that's the energy I bring to it now, is like, and that's why, like, yourself and Bailey coming on board helps me out so much, right? That frees up my time and I can just run operations now and focus more time with him. And it's about letting go in areas that will be fine with other people, and then taking it to areas that you can't be replaced in.
do you how is your when you had your son, and then now moving forward the last few years, like how's your relationships with other people have changed? Do you feel like it's helped you become a better business owner because having a kid? Like, were there any lessons that you learned throughout that process?
I would definitely say that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm thinking in how it's changed me. I think attitude-wise, it's definitely not. Attitude-wise, it kind of lets me know how important my business is to me, because this is how my son's. This is everything to my son.
Yeah.
Right? This is how I'm going to raise him. This is what dedicates what school he's going to go to. All that stuff. So now it's really like you can't mess up, right? Like first I was like 2 feet in. Now you can say like I'm fully in there, right? Like I'm not going to mess this up for him. I'm going to make sure he has everything that he wants.
So your like drive to like really, like, not that you weren't per se passionate about it before, but it's just like it's almost like times 10.
Times 10, yeah, that's what it is, right?
Like, it's just
yeah.
Because that, and I think that's like a really big piece that I have definitely heard. I don't personally have a kid, but like I heard that patience has definitely been probably something that you've had also increase, and like maybe there's more vulnerable moments that are a little bit easier to handle and things like that. I don't know if that's something that you've noticed, but I just, from talking to parents over the years, they've said like just their shift on how they see situations kind of has shifted too.
Yeah,
So.
no, definitely. And it just comes down to, like I said, back to time management too, just making sure that you get stuff done in business, so you have stuff so you can have more family time at home with him. Like now my time management has been the best it's ever been since he's come around, just because I want to maximize my time with him.
So if you have any business owners listening to this, what are some advice, like pieces of advice, if they're struggling with this part of that balance with family and work? Do you have any pieces of advice that you could give that you use to be able to shift like that?
I think one of the, oh man, I wonder if she'll kill me for even sharing this, but so once upon a time, I'm working like literally like 14 to 16 hours, like Monday to Friday. Saturdays was I'd work till 12 and then probably end up sleeping the rest of the day. And then Sunday I used to go in to clean the gym. This was my life for like 3 to 4 years.
I remember that, man.
Like that was it. That's all I knew.
I forgot that you used to do that.
Didn't do anything else. That's all it was. And then one time, when Lana got back into school, now so she's really starting to struggle with the housework, everything like that. No one's ever home. And she just tells me one day, she's like, I like really need your help with a couple of things at home here and there. And I'm overworked, I'm this and that. And I'm like, yo, like, I'm so tired of this and that. And she just kind of looked at me, she's like, you're choosing to do that to yourself. And I was like, fuck, I am. And that just really stuck with me. It's like, as business owners, I think we get too caught up in our own dream and we forget about the people around us who are also in that dream. We're choosing to, work those 14 to 16 hours And really that's to get ahead. So maybe I can say, okay, maybe I'll work 2 less hours now and I'll go home a little bit earlier. Yes, I'll make less money, but I still have enough to get by. Right? Like it's just about drawing back to make sure everybody in that dream has time with you.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest things I've truly learned is like I can't complain about what I'm doing to myself. Like I just can't. I chose this life. I want the freedom throughout the day. So yeah, a lot of shitty things are gonna happen along the way, but I got to make sure that I'm not overworking myself, and then, other people around me aren't getting the best of me.
Yeah, and they don't get or even your true self.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like it's literally you're doing this to yourself. Like it's nobody's telling you to do this. No one's holding a gun to your head, making you go to work these many hours. It's us doing this to ourselves. So we better get along with everybody.
Yeah, it's like it kind of like taking the responsibility for that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's something that is really cool about you, because I know that there's definitely there's a lot has happened since I've been there, but I know there's been, many conversations of us just, figuring out like how to take responsibility for yourself and your actions, and also understanding like, like you can't always control other people, like,
That's
it's, and how you react to it. So I really think that's something that has really helped me also understand how to like understand it and see it and take a step back. But I talking about this, I actually have a question for you. Not really. How do you find that with all the personalities, the Fitness Lab has grown a lot in the last few years, especially. How have you been able to, manage with more individuals that are working at the Fitness Lab, different personalities? Like, how have you been able to, shift and adapt as someone to like be able to not always get along with everyone, but like make sure that everyone's kind of, working together? And like, how do you find that as a mentor or a person to look up to? How has that shifted for you?
I think when it comes to like, bringing different people on board, there definitely has to be, we're all in it for the same reason. It's workouts and helping people. Yeah. So it's kind of nice being surrounded right away with people with that common understanding of like, this is the main goal here, guys. Like we're here to deliver workouts to people and making sure that they're happy with them, right? Like people come here, and like I love the analogy of always saying like, this is our house that they're coming to. You better be a good host and put on a good party. Yeah. If the person throwing the party is bored, everybody at the party is probably bored at the same time, right? So it's just nice that's the main thing right away, is just having everyone under that umbrella of knowing this is what we're here to do. Then after that, it's kind of, I think going back to the question of what makes the Fitness Lab so different is that, each trainer is their own personality, which also means that they create a workout to their own personality. Whereas other gyms, other franchises, other studios, they have set workouts. Like, you can go to some of these big chains and it's the same workout being ran all around the world that day. Right? Like there's no variety there. It's what they set up and it's what they do. So that's one of the biggest things with having all these different personalities there. It brings so much variety to everyone that comes into the gym. So it works in our favor hugely to have different personalities in there. And then in terms of managing them, it's, like I said, it all comes down to we're here for one main focus, guys, to deliver workouts. And as long as we have that main focus, we all get along. We're all able to help each other out. Like I love developing the trainers now. Like meeting up with them, we go through workouts, we talk about different ideas, how to bring on different types of equipment. And it's just nice being able to sit down with people and, come up with ideas like that.
No, and I like that. Well, and, I think too, it's, I guess too, the big thing is like how much it's shifted, right? It's like if you look, around the 2017, 2018, there's maybe like 4 trainers there. Yeah. And now there's about like 10 to 15. Yeah. So it's probably like, that was probably a challenge as well for you. Like there's different challenges for different phases. Do you find that, there's more flexibility in, having a little bit more people but do you find it's still harder than it was when there was less people? Like how do you feel about that?
I think like along with the growth strategy now, at first, like, in the early years, it was always us doing the personal training. Yeah. So we were in charge of everything when it came to the administrative work behind it, the check-ins, and as you start growing, it's like trainers need to be themselves. And going into the independent trainer approach the last little bit has really helped proven that for not only us but the trainer as well. So it's just about the growth aspect of things. And now, working under the independent trainer approach, it's so much easier for us to manage and do the administrative work because it's so much less on us. So I would definitely say just like, as we've grown into more trainers, we've also grown the business into a better model, which is also, that's why we probably get so many trainers, is because they'd rather work with us because we offer such good packages.
It's a different approach. I also like how you touched on the approach where it's like not always the same workout worldwide, right? It's like, you can go to the one location and you have a different workout than the other location, and it's based off the trainer, and that way you can kind of like find like, I like this style, or and you can find that niche that you really enjoy as well.
Exactly.
I just want to touch on a little bit about, I'm just going to kind of have a big shift here, but I just want to shift, like, we're talking a lot about fitness and things like that, but we never actually got to the point, like, why fitness? Like, why did Vik pick fitness out of everything he could have done? Like, why fitness? Like, what was the reason why?
Two good stories for you, Jeremy.
Oh, I like this. We love stories.
So first, how it all started was my dad. Dad's always been super fit, into fitness, working out. Like my entire life growing up, gym in the garage. He would drag me along to the gym. I just sit there and, watch him work out. And then when the wave pool opened, he used to go there, sit and watch him work out, then go in the pool after, and just always been in and out of gyms my entire life with him. So that's how the original, I guess, spark came into fitness, and I knew it was like, I wanted to be a part of me. I started working out when I was in grade 8 and just, fell in love with it right away. In terms of making it a career, I had no idea I could make this a job.
Well, and it's hard to make fitness a job.
It's super hard.
It is very hard.
And this is no lie. What actually happened is I had a crush on a girl that worked at a gym. So she worked the front desk, and I just like immediately fell in love with her, and I just had to be around her. And I was like nervous to the point I couldn't even like approach her other than like just highs and buys and just light talk here and there. And then it came to me. I was like, you're not doing much with your life. Why not just become a trainer and you can hang out here all the time? And that's what I did. I literally got my personal training license, got a job there, started bugging her, and now we're married.
I was gonna say, good. I wanted you to say that. I was hoping you'd put that. I was like, who's the girl now?
The job worked out and the girl worked out. So that's how it kind of came to be. And then I just like, as I was training not only at that gym, started, you can never get all the work you want at one gym. And back then it was the same thing. It was like you could not get what you wanted in one place. So it just had to pick up other contracts, get other work, and just kind of keep going from there. Yeah,
and I like how you shared those stories too. And I want to kind of follow up question, but why did you start in Mission? Why Mission out of all the cities? You grew up in Abbotsford. You had why did you pick Mission to start the first location?
It came down to Mission for a couple of reasons. My main place of work here was the leisure center.
Okay.
So with working there for 5 years, I had built a pretty good client list. I was running some private boot camps at the time, and those were in Mission as well. So I already knew I had a good set of clients that I could bring into the facility. And then in terms of, services that a city needs, as Mission didn't have much going on in terms of a private studio for the caliber that I wanted to open it. And then, of course, the logistics of it, of knowing somebody that owns a spot that can get me into it and actually mentor me and coach me into, all the right things to ask for, all the right things to do going into it were huge too. Because I had no idea how to lease a commercial unit. Yeah. Like that was just well beyond me. I had no idea what to do. So having someone to actually mentor me to help me what to do was huge.
Like move you in that right direction.
So that's what kind of brought us into Mission.
And now that, there's the expansions and things like that, how is that, like, how do you feel about what you've been able to accomplish with where you started from?
It's always one of those things where you don't quite give yourself enough credit for what's going on because you just feel like you have so much more left in you. So now it's getting to the point where, it's easier to take chances on yourself. Your network, is setting up so you have more free time to take more risks and open more places. So in terms of what we've accomplished, I'm really proud of the fact, and I think one of the biggest things was being able to sell portions of the business to you and Bailey were huge for me, because I was like, okay, this is validation that I have something here and I have built something here, and it's going to be, just as amazing to these next two guys after that. That was my first, I'd say that was my biggest, okay, you did something here, Vic. And now from here on out, it's just about, it's like, okay, well, you did that. That's where the bar's set. Now you got to keep going to make sure you keep raising the bar.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the, to be able to scale and, have different locations and this and franchising and, there's different, like you said, pivoting.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back to pivoting and things like that. I think it would be cool if, I've talked about my story about how we kind of met, but I think a lot of people have always asked me, why did I start the fitness lab? Or what was the experience that me and you have had the last 8 I think it's been 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. What was kind of your, when you were looking for someone and you were, starting in I think it was 2017, what was that for you, looking and seeing for, someone else to be part of the business to work with you?
For me, I knew I needed somebody that was younger and who wanted to work right out the gate. That was number one, because a lot of fitness instructors, it either goes both ways. Either you're trying to do this full time, or it's a hobby and you just want to do it a couple times a week. So I needed somebody that wanted to do this full time. But then in fitness, it's, it's I can't promise anyone full time right away, right? It's we got to build you up to full time.
We worked me out of a lot of jobs.
And then, so kind of combining those things. And at a time, one of my friends, Melissa, was taking that personal training class. It's the same one that you were. And so I talked to her. I just said, hey, if you see anybody in that class that, is good, they seem promising, they're smart, they're engaged, I'd rather have somebody that's brand new than, somebody that is already stuck in the system for the last 10, 15 years and it's hard to bring them out of. And then as soon as she mentioned you, I think we had met, and you said you were moved up. You're like, I work at the movie theater. I really want to stop. I was like, okay, you got an immediate goal. This is perfect. Let's get this thing going and let's try getting you out of that movie theater job. And I think that was max took us 4 or 5 months to get you out of there, maybe.
Yeah, and then I was working at a supplement, and it was just slowly just transitioning out.
Yeah, and you really wanted to do it, and I think that was the biggest difference maker. Is you really wanted that for yourself, and you wanted it at the gym you were working at.
Yeah. Well, I wanted you to kind of touch on that too, because I think if there's any young trainers listening now, I always try to, communicate that it might not happen right away, but if you slowly build towards it and I think that's also the misconception is, like you said, I wasn't working full time when I first started.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? There's that transition out. So, and I know that, as we go through it and as the business grows, there's going to be new trainers and things like that. So, do you have any pieces of advice for younger trainers that are starting out that, want to make this a full-time career?
I feel like a lot of trainers always come into it with this somewhat of a niche, they're going to do this right away and be the best at it, and they're going to just kill it. And then when it doesn't work out like that right away, they get really discouraged, and then you might not ever see them again, or they go to a different job, or it's very small windows for new trainers. Whereas I think working at the rec centers was the best start you can get. Just put yourself in front of as many different people as you can. I think it's the variety that you have to train before you can pick a niche that new trainers are missing. Right? Just because you go to the gym and you like lifting weights and you look like that doesn't mean that you're going to be a trainer that can do that.
That can help someone do that.
Right? There might be a trainer out there who's super skinny and they're way better than you at getting people big. right? Like it comes down to experience and having your experience. Just because you lift weights and you look like that doesn't mean that's your niche and that you can go ahead and sell that. You have to go through the variety, you have to see what you like, you have to get experience doing it, prove that you can do it, and then go from there. Like if you can do it for yourself, that's one thing, but if you can do it for someone else, that's completely different.
Yeah. No, I like that, because that's definitely something I felt when I started too. Is like, and you've probably had doubts too about like, should I do
this guy. So remember the push press incident?
Yeah. I didn't know the I was mind blown.
So Jeremy just loved lifting weights and white weights only. And then I showed him a push press one day, which is just a squat with the shoulder press. And he looked at me with his eyes popping out of his head. It's like, what a good idea. Put two exercises together. And that's when I kind of thought to myself, like, well, we got a lot of work to do with this guy. We'll get him there.
Yeah, man. It's like, I like that we're talking about this, because I think that's, even a lot of people might see you and be like, oh, wow, like it must just been easy for him. Or like, people speculate, like they don't actually see all the stuff that has gone to like actually building to what it is, right? And we look at people and we're like, oh wow, like the growth. But I think it's nice to hear like the hardships and understand like it wasn't always easy.
Yeah,
like, there's always challenges. There's always, but obviously there's growth and there's wins and things like that. Yeah. But as you now, it's been about 2 decades you've been doing this, correct?
Yeah, roughly? Started 2010 was when I first started training. Was 2010. Cool. So we're sitting on 14 years, going on 15.
Yeah, it's crazy to, like, that's awesome. That's so cool. Because it's like you said, a lot of people quit early. And, for you now, moving forward, what do you feel like you want to accomplish now moving forward? How's that shifted? I know we were talking about, like central management, things like that, but as a trainer, because I know you still like training people.
That's the biggest thing for me is
what's the shift for Vik?
For me, the biggest thing is still training. Like training is just something that I need to do. Like there's no way I can just give up training. I need to be in front of people training. Group fitness, I absolutely love it. Like it's like going to work 5 a.m. no problem. Like I love going to work. Like I sometimes forget, like when I'm saying bye to people, like, hey, have a good day, like, work this and that, I'm like, I'm already at work, like this is awesome. Right? like that's my favorite part is like I love training, and making sure that I have the time to train outside of running the business is one of the most important things to me to balance. And for what's next, it's in terms of group fitness, I don't want to teach any more group fitness classes. I'm happy with the ones that I have. I'm happy with the people that I train. It's still working towards pro athletes, working with my guys in hockey, just making sure they're getting all the right development they need. That's huge for me. That's the type of stuff that makes me feel great being able to do and deliver. And at the same time, it's, like I said, that's what's important to me, is making sure I have hours to do that type of work. And in terms of business and central management, running operations, I think now I'm at starting all over again with that. Now it's about, finding all the ins and outs with that, hiring people that I need to come in and help me out with the little jobs that I know that I can't do the best. And then making sure that, of course, I find the right amount of balance between everything.
Yeah. No, it's cool because I've seen this shift. Like, I've been the one to see it. I think, like, obviously other people have, but, like, I've been able to see how you've shifted even over the last 8 years of, like, where you started and then now, like, what you're doing and then what you want to do. And, like, I think it's really cool to see. And I really think it's something that you're really good at when it comes to the athlete part. I've seen it firsthand, and it's something that I'm happy that you're really good at it, because I'm I'm not the best at, like, I can train athletes, but it's not my niche. And I'm always, like, happy to see that, and it's always cool to meet the guys that you have come in and even just chatting and talking a little bit about nutrition. But I think when training athletes, it's a whole nother, like, ball game. It is super, like, specific, and the training methods and things like that. Like, how do you think that changes when you look at, like, a let's say quote unquote everyday person and an athlete? Like, where does that shift change when you have that philosophy of training going into it?
When you see, when you see both aspects of it, for a lot of everyday people, it's just about getting movement in.
Yes.
Whereas when we're working with our athletes, we got to make sure we're dialed in. Like, it's the right weight, it's the right amount of reps happening with that athlete, it's the right amount of rest happening with that athlete. And I think the mindset of the athlete and the everyday person is completely different too. Everyday person just wants to get in there and just push. Like, they think that's what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go balls through the wall and hammer it out.
A day off.
Right? Like, oh, that's too much rest. I'm not taking it. I'm going in, right? Like, put me in, coach. Athletes, on the other hand, right? They're going to give you those quality reps right off the bat. They can give you 3 to 5 reps. They know, hey, I got like 6 more in me, but they're not going to be as good as these first ones, and I can just let go of the rest. Then they'll go rest. They'll take their 2-3 minutes of rest. Then they'll come back and do it again. So an athlete's perspective is they treat their bodies like that's their body, and they know, hey, this is what I make a living off of. This is how I need to train. This is what I'm after. Whereas, the everyday person is, hey, I just want to get in there, burn some calories, and get out of here. So just knowing your audience at the same time. Like, I'm not going to bring a really athletic, dialed in workout to a regular group fitness class, because it's just not going to go well.
Well, the body is the recovery, the everything.
Right? It's just they're just going to be like, what? Like, I don't need to be doing this type of stuff kind of thing, right? Like, so there's different ways that you can just take that workout and mend it into more of a group fitness atmosphere for everybody to enjoy. But it's definitely just knowing what's for what type of thing. And the nice thing is, like, both ends of the athlete will act like an athlete. The everyday athlete, will act like an everyday athlete.
Yeah, and I like how you gave the analogy between the two, because I also want to touch a little bit about, I like the term advanced age. So if we're just looking at someone who's a little bit older that is, working out, what are some, coping mechanisms with pain or injuries, or, like, as someone ages, what are some things that they can do to, help with their balance? Like, just an overall, like, somewhere for someone to start. Because I even know, like, if I'm talking to my grandparents, it's really hard for them to, like, the concept of, like, go lift some weights. It's, like, sometimes very intimidating to start. So where would you start someone if they came to you? I know you had a couple that you worked with a couple of years ago, very personally, and it was cool to see their progression. But, what is something that with those things you can, guide someone where they could start?
It's okay. Let's just throw a number out there. Let's say somebody at the age of 50 now wants to get into fitness and now wants to start working on their balance. It's only going to get so good, but it's not going to get any worse than where they started, right? But it's at the same time, it's not going to go from mediocre to so good, right? Like, there's going to be like a very small shift in there. Whereas, like, we've started working on our balance at super young age. Like, you're in baseball, you're still working on stability, so you're going to be able to keep your balance for a lot longer. So I think when it comes down to somebody starting off at a later age into a fitness program, it's not expecting, like, you're not going to get those results that you're thinking are going to fix all your issues. But you will get results to help you manage pain. You will get results that you're going to feel better. You are going to lose weight. You are going to get stronger. But at the same time, know those limits. Like, don't go into a group fitness class that's, like, if you're, let's say, again, 60, 65 years old, you're not going to go into, like, a full-out CrossFit class right away. Right? Like, maybe start off aquafit. Right?
Something a little bit lighter.
Low impact. It'll get you moving. Like, especially if you haven't ran a sprint, jumped, or done anything in, 20 years. Don't go do that right away. Like, just know those limits. Like, maybe go in the pool, just run back and forth a couple times, try an aquafit class, get the body moving. From there, find a low impact class, or, join a group fitness program somewhere that allows low impact and they know who they're working with. That's when the personal training can be important, just making sure that you're brought into fitness the correct way, you learn all the right things. And then slowly just phase up from there and get into those proper programs as you grow. But yeah, I think that's what it is just, people joining fitness too late are expecting too much from it. When really, if they're not going backwards, that's the best indicator that that this is working for you. Yeah, it's like, that's the best thing. Like, hey, this isn't getting worse. Like, I am getting better, but if you still might trip or fall once in a while, that's just life. It's the way it is.
Are there any body weight exercise or anything that you can recommend that somebody can, even if they're looking at working at something at home on their off times, or anything that you can suggest?
I think it's just like the living on a single leg thing, right? Like from the time you get up, just start trying to balance yourself as you brush your teeth. Pouring some coffee, one leg. You're doing something, right? Like, just the more times you try balancing, or the more times throughout the day you take a chance at balancing at something, the better your balance is really gonna get.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you're in the gym and you're just focused on balance and you're doing balance exercises, that's one thing. But when you're just living your regular everyday life and then taking balance into account, that's more of a functional balance exercise than being in the gym with, standing on the Bosu ball and trying to squat it or something.
Well, and those little things compound, right? Like they compound. They totally add up. And I liked how you touched on it, because I think that's also too where I want to ask you the question of like, when would be a good time for someone to do personal training, and what's a good time for someone to do group fitness? Like, what differs if somebody's looking for that avenue first? Like, what would you recommend someone when they're doing those two things?
I think one thing, if you're brand new and
never seen a gym,
and you really want to have success in the gym, personal training might be great for you. Like a couple sessions, just feel some weights out, get some posture cues. And then I mean, money is also a huge barrier with personal training, right? That's huge. Like, I know a lot of local gyms will provide you with orientations on their equipment. Great, make sure you take that orientation. If you're okay with groups and you have no problem being in groups and asking questions, that's another great avenue. And that's one of the reasons why the Fitness Lab only hires personal trainers and not group fitness staff, is because then we have all the right tools that we need to help somebody like that out. We have all the right modifications for them. We can help them, bring them up from a complete beginner to an intermediate, and then go work from there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's I always say, if you have the opportunity, and I guess this could be biased because I'm a personal trainer, but I think it's a great opportunity, even if you could do like 5 sessions. Like, you don't have to. I think there's a little bit of a misconception about like you have to do like 100 sessions to but like, even if you just get into the gym, you work with someone, they get the basis of like, this is how you do a squat, this is how you do a press, this is like, as you work through it, even if it's for a month or so, you can like eventually get them to a point where they can go and feel comfortable in a gym.
Exactly.
Right? Because it is hard to, and it can be intimidating. Like, for sure, it can be intimidating to join in. And I really think that's something that if you have the opportunity, that it would be good. So
and like I said, like a lot of places, like you sign up for gym membership. A good way to start off in fitness is just going to a regular drop-in gym and just doing the machines, right? Just start building muscle mass right away like that.
Yeah, and building the, as we were talking about, like even building the balancing, like the stability muscles and things like that. As you get better at that, you can slowly do like something else and build your way up. It kind of goes back to the conversation about, you don't have to go balls to the wall.
Don't need to go,
No, like you can go in, move, and feel good.
That's all it is. There's like a that's very bad stigma that you have to work out so hard and so many days a week. And like, like we get new people all the time. It's like, well, how many classes did you sign up for? 3. Well, maybe just one. Just sign up for one right now, and then maybe sign up for second one near the end of the week. Like, see how you feel before you commit 3 times, right? Like, don't be so hard on yourself. And that's where it is too. Like, say if you worked out 0 times every week for the last 3 years, and then you do 1 class, that's 100% more times than last week. Like, you don't need to make it 300%. Just stick with 1 class, right? See how your body recovers. Add another class later.
Well, and I would rather see that from someone.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather see someone only come once and be able to actually recover fully before, like, moving on to, like, because that's honestly, this is probably the biggest reason why a lot of people, quit early too, is they do too much right away. Right? Like, if you go, like you say, going 0, now you're going 4 times. Yeah. Well, your body hasn't even adapted or been able to actually, like, the stimulus and everything's, like, your body's like, what the heck are you doing?
Yeah.
This is way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad we touched on that. I guess I'm gonna ask a final kind of question here and finalize the podcast. But what's the vision now for Vik moving forward? What's if you don't need to share specifics, but like kind of what's your vision trying to move forward? And I know you do a lot of like work on vision and what you want to achieve and the direction you want to take things, but like what's some things that maybe people can look forward to in the future?
For personal training wise, I would say building hockey development is something that I'm going to start focusing even more of my time on.
Yep.
That's a direction that I know that I need to be in, and I'm going to keep building towards that direction.
And if you just so people know, like what is that? What do you do with that? Like, or what teams, like things like that? Like, what does that look like?
Right now, just heading the Fraser Valley Thunderbirds. So just making sure this upcoming year we're taking on all their development, and I want to make sure they're doing all sorts of development. Like, we're not just going to be focused in the gym. We're going to be focused on other like multi-sport movements of other stuff we can bring into their training. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to continue working with my pros and bringing on just a new level of training. And now with our new facility, I really think I'm going to be able to go ahead and hit that target the way I want to. In terms of the fitness lab and operations, my overall goal is to keep growing this company into just more recreational places. Like gymnastics gyms is definitely something that we want to get into. And that's one thing that I'm going to keep taking my focus on, is growing into other cities with the fitness lab and just creating that membership community across the board with different partners.
So like more like more locations and avenues to like like we were talking franchise, right? Like franchise,
yeah.
Different communities. And do you I just have a quick question if people don't know much about the hockey program, but like what are things that you feel that you're bringing to the table with your hockey development programs that maybe other programs are not?
I think it's my actual passion for the sport and for development. Like in terms of when it comes to even just the younger kids starting out that just want to learn how to skate and get moving from there, just developing programs for them to help them succeed in even just minor hockey at a low level. I think that's huge. Like that's what is going to prevent kids from quitting hockey and keep kids in hockey playing. And then in terms of helping, those advanced kids out get to the next level, it's like, I've like one of my guys, Gage, that was like the coolest thing ever, being at his house when he got drafted into the NHL. Like that was like honestly like what top 5 moment of my life is witnessing that happen, right? And I'm driven to make that happen for other kids.
Yeah,
like,
being there.
I want to see other families. I want to see other athletes in that same position, in that same happiness marker.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I truly bring to the table, is like I really want to help push these guys, get them to that next level.
Do you I don't know what the full program will look like, but do you guys have any special kind of, equipment that you guys are going to be using, or like, I know that you guys have the skate mill. Like, is that something that you guys are going to try to, incorporate into a program? Like, what does that kind of look like?
I think skate mill definitely will be incorporated into the program. That's something huge that we've been looking to bring on.
Yeah.
In terms of other gear, like now I'm working with Mark Rice down at UFE, and he's definitely helping me out with my programming. So that's been huge for me. That's one big thing, is like, as a guy that likes training the way I train, I know there's other people that do things better than me. So I'm reaching out to those people to help me better myself, and at the same time bring on all the things that my groups are missing just because I don't offer them. So I think that's what makes us so well-rounded, is that we bring on those people to bring everything that I might not personally offer.
Yeah, and I think it's cool doing like that. You guys have the opportunity to have like ice times and skate mill and workouts and like a little bit, because I don't see many different facilities and things like that can incorporate all three, right? Have the availability. So Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted you to touch on it in case somebody didn't know about it. So, but yeah, basically, I'm gonna end it off. I'm gonna usually what I do is I just let you plug yourself. Where can people find you if they want to like just kind of keep in touch, and the fitness lab, and like where can people reach you, even with your hockey programs? Like, just give yourself like a big plug here.
That's funny. It's like, I'm Vik Gill. I'm not accepting personal training clients. Need time for jet, right? But I'm Vik Gill. I guess Instagram is Fit Like Vik. Just going to be posting a lot of content coming up on just hockey development. So if that's something that you're interested in, or you have anyone that would be interested in it, that's definitely a place to check it out. Other than that, I will be with the fitness lab, and I'll continue to grow that brand.
What's a good email to reach out if anybody's looking for hockey, or like anything like that? What's a personal contact, or if you guys have your hockey?
Best would be Vik, VIK, at thefitnesslab.ca. All inquiries.
Cool. Perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much, Vik, for taking the time today to chat. And, I know as much as we see each other, we don't see each other at the same time. So it was actually nice to have a conversation and hear some few stories that I haven't heard in a long time. So thank you. Thanks for
having me.
Yeah. But everyone, I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to episode 11 of the North Star podcast with Vik Gill, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.